Hello, and welcome to this presentation. Thanks for joining us. This is covering natural gas risk management basics, and it's part one of a three-part series, and I hope that you join us for all three parts. All right, before we manage the risk in anything that we do, we got to first identify the risk that we have, and then once we've identified it, then we'll set out on how we're going to manage it. And in today's presentation, we're going to be focusing on the natural gas commodity itself. Your total cost that you receive on your invoice at your facility consists of the natural gas cost, but it also contains charges for pipeline transportation, local distribution transportation, some miscellaneous charges like meter charges. The important element here is 80 to 90% of your bill is the natural gas commodity itself, and that's the only one that is volatile, extraordinarily volatile. The other charges are for the most part fixed by tariff, both on a federal level and local level of a state and federal commissions. This is a graph showing the volatility of natural gas. This is showing since natural gas is traded back in April of 1990. It trades on the New York Mercantile Exchange and is one of the most volatile of all markets traded. In fact, second only to the electricity market. If you would overlay a graph of natural gas volatility to the S&P 500, it would make the S&P 500 look like a flat line. Extraordinarily volatile. So why is natural gas so volatile? Well, let's go back to Economics 101 and analyze a price-demand curve. A fully elastic market is one where demand is directly affected by price. So if price increases, demand drops off. Similarly, if price decreases, demand picks up. The opposite of an elastic demand curve is an inelastic demand curve. This says the opposite. Doesn't matter where we are on the price scale, demand doesn't move. If we take a look at the natural gas market, we see that it's elastic for a while, and then it enters an inelastic demand. So let's follow this on the way up. As prices increase, we start kicking out demand. And what do we kick out first? We kick out those customers that can easily switch to coal or another alternate fuel that becomes cheaper as prices rise for natural gas. We even get into a part of a curve where we start kicking out some demand that didn't know they were elastic. That would be people that idle plants, shut them in, possibly even go bankrupt. Once we get past and kicked out all the demand that can leave the market, we enter the inelastic portion of the curve, and that's the residential and commercial heating load. In essence, it's the utilities buying gas to support their customers. Utilities are indiscriminate buyers of gas. They'll buy gas at any price. They must have the molecules. And once you reach that inelastic part of this curve, you can see that price has no bearing on demand, and that's how you get $100 price spikes in one day. Market direction. If you're asking yourself this question when you're sitting down trying to make a decision on risk management, you're not managing risk, you're speculating. One of the basic tenets of risk management is never make a decision based on what you think the market's going to do, or even based on what your energy manager or your paid consultant thinks the market's going to do. All right, that would be speculation, and I'm convinced no one knows the long-term market well enough for you to put your eggs in that basket and put your company's finances at risk. Taking you back to the graph of the NYMEX prices since its inception, is what we have here is a graph that's overlaid the events that caused each one of these spikes, each one of these valleys. We have things like 9/11, we have various hurricanes, we have the polar vortex and other major weather events. We have the shale revolution, which brought prices down. But the thing I find most interesting about this is this was all in hindsight. Not a single one of these events was ever predicted before they happened. So when we talk about what direction are prices going from here, well, what's the next unforeseen event that's going to change the whole dynamics? All right, getting into the risk management portion. The most common thing I hear from customers is, boy, we can't take a position in the market. Either our management won't let us take a position, our board of directors won't let us take a position. And I got bad news for you today in this video. You already have a position. You are short to the market. And not only are you short to the market, but being short's the most dangerous position that you can have in this market. You need natural gas for your plant to function, and you do not have natural gas. That makes you short to the market. A short position in any market is a position whereby you benefit if prices drop and is a detriment if prices rise. If you're not short to a market, you're long to a market, and the way you get long is buying it. So a long position is any position whereby you benefit if prices rise and it's a detriment if prices fall. And in our day-to-day life, we're very used to being long to markets. In our 401k, for example, or anytime we buy stocks, what do we want? We want the price to go up, right? We're long to that market. Even when you go to buy your house, you purchase a home, you are long the housing market. You want the value of homes, in particular your home, to go up. And it's a detriment if it goes down, right? So once you buy something, you become long to that market. If you don't buy it and you just float with the market, you're short to the market. So all of you end users are inherently short to the market. Let's take a look at a short position and its risk-reward features. Again, pay no attention to which way we think the market's going to go. In this particular example, and in this current time, the forward market's about $2.50. And when I say the forward market, I'm talking about prices, let's say, out for a year. And if we do nothing at all, afraid to take a position, right, what's our risk? Our risk is that prices rise. And how far can they rise? Well, theoretically, they can rise infinitely, right? Now, is infinite the right measure? No, but we've seen $100, $250, $500. Suffice to say, they can rise substantially. And how far can they drop? Well, theoretically, I guess they can drop to zero. We know that's not true. But the point here is that by doing nothing in a low-priced market, the reward is small and finite. The risk, however, is basically infinite and at a bare minimum, extraordinarily large. Now let's take a look at a long position. Remember I said that a long position, albeit 100% risk position, now we're long to the market, right, is a position whereby we benefit from a rising market. So if we would fix a price or buy the forward market at $250, our reward is that the market rises. Our risk is that the market goes down. Very easy to see at this price level at $250, the magnitude of our reward is far greater than our risk. We're not leaving very much on the table here if we're wrong, right? In fact, looking at this numerically, if we locked in at a fixed price at $2.50, we kind of assumed the bottom was $2 and the top was $8, reasonable assumptions. The potential detriment is probably about 50 cents. In other words, if we locked into a fixed price, we may have made a wrong decision, but it's only a small wrong decision, right? Maybe 50 cents. On the other hand, if prices go up, the magnitude of reward in this particular example is maybe $5, $6, right? The magnitude of reward far outweighs the magnitude of risk at these price levels. That's not such an easy calculation all the time. How about if in today's environment we were at $7? If the forward market was at $7, it kind of reverses that thought pattern, right? At $7, our potential risk or our potential detriment is $5, and our potential reward is $1, right? So what can we conclude? Just taking into account whether I'm going to be a fixed price buyer or whether I'm going to do nothing and float with the market or be an index buyer. Well, it's kind of easy to see in a low price environment, fixed price is good. Stay away from being an index buyer. Conversely, in a high price market, probably don't want to lock into a bad thing, right? The magnitude of risk outweighs the magnitude of reward when prices are higher, so we want to be an index buyer. That concludes this portion of the presentation. We'll add these to our toolbox of index and fixed. And as I mentioned on the onset, I hope you join us for parts 2 and 3, where we'll talk about call options, put options, putting those together into callers, and then intermingling all these tools, index, fixed, calls, and puts, into a risk management strategy for you. Thank you again for joining us.